problem that we're seeing, and I'm going to continue to see this, the problem that we are seeing with these laws, while their intention is I'm sure they're good to have reporting and say, well, you know, this, I want to have a tab on how much money this person have, or where that money is going away, you receive income, in which I don't have a problem with because it's an open book. My life is an open book. The question that I have, what we've seen, especially in St. Martin, we've seen that these laws have been used to target and put targets on the backs of people in St. Martin. And that I cannot agree with. And what we have noticed, you know, every minister, and I hate to speak as if, and I have to agree with my colleague MP Franz Richardson, I hate to speak that like I'm against the law, but I cannot be in favor of anything that puts a target on the back of my people, in the sense of doing what is approved by the G20. We're talking about countries that have billion-dollar, trillion-dollar economies, have industries. You talk about France, you're talking about Airbus, you talk about the United States, you're talking about Boeing. I mean, we're talking trillions of dollars in revenue. Those are the kind of things that you really need to have a trace on where that money is going. Those are funds that can fund an entire army in the Middle East. St. Martin don't have that kind of clout. But what happens is you see where these laws are loopholes for what I call a rogue prosecutor's office to put targets on the back of St. Martin people and then arrest them, tarnish their names in the community. And what we've seen, for example, we can talk about the case in particular with Hemsley Trump. We can talk about the case with the Boncampos. And we could go on and seeing what is happening when you go through the judicial system. Then you're vindicated, but at the end of the day, you're already damaged goods. Here is another set of laws that is to come. We must approve it because we will be whitelisted. If we do not approve it, we will be put on the whitelist, and we are going to probably mess up the economy. Yes, I am for that. But I have another theory. These laws are nothing but wolves dressed up in sheep's clothing. They appear to be in the best interest of the general well-being of the economy, but it does not take into account the people factor and how they affect the people. And we've seen where we in Parliament, on more than one occasion, have approved laws where various ministers, whether that minister is from the governing party or as an opposition party, we've approved laws that we thought were in the best interest of St. Martin. And we've seen that today come back to bite us very hard. Very hard. And as such, I cannot with my good conscience continue to approve these kind of laws without getting a clear-cut indication as to how far, because all of these laws are linked to criminality. They're linked to criminal. So if again, I had a discussion with a very good friend of mine, and jokingly, when it pertained to the law, you know, and this is the quagmire you find yourself in as a lawmaker, because the remark was, you don't want the law approved because you don't want people to see where you politicians hide your millions. But it isn't about, it isn't about the politicians, and B, St. Martin is made up of more than just politicians. They're made up of business people. They're made up of young St. Martiners coming back, making their place, trying to make their places in St. Martin, who may not see it now, who will over the years accumulate mass, who will accumulate money. Again, to be put under the constant microscope, and the fundamental problem that I have with these laws is once they're approved, you are out and you're under investigation, you're automatically assumed guilty before otherwise. And that is, at least, that is how these laws have been executed over the past few years. And fundamentally, I have a problem with that. I do not have a problem with reporting. I do not have a problem with opening the books and showing, hey, this is what it is. But I do have a problem with, again, putting a target on the people of St. Martin back and make them, especially when all you hear about St. Martin, that is the most corrupt country in the world. So here it is. You will have another example, another paragraph to further push that agenda of St. Martin being corrupt. And here's you didn't report this at the bank, then I come and I lock you up. And all we are doing is, and then it comes back to Parliament, where Parliament itself they approve these things in the name of anti-corruption, and then we are faced with persons in our community, persons within our society that are being targeted. We live in a small island, and you, Mr. Minister, know as well as I do that sometimes the melee that surrounds something, as sweet as that melee may seem and sound, that it is definitely not true. But we have persons who go, and I could give you an example, I could give you a perfect example. Someone on their Facebook and blog that the funeral homes bring drugs from Colombia to St. Martin. No, but this is a serious thing, and these are the things I have to start to mention, that the funeral home, now I'm an owner of a funeral home. We bring drugs from Colombia to St. Martin. I dispelled it because I know better. The long and the short of the story is, one day there was a shipment of someone who passed away in Colombia. As a matter of fact, that day there were two. One human remain going to each funeral home. Those bodies were scanned. So you see, the melee, which isn't true, becomes something for someone to say, well, hey, let's look here because this has to be something. But somebody sees a movie. What was that movie? Bad Boys? Bad Boys 2, I believe. Somebody sees a movie and says, without taking into consideration that I have been to Colombia once in my life for a sinus operation and have never called Colombia. As a matter of fact, I don't handle the day-to-day operation at the funeral home. But again, you're a target.
It's been said that behind every door, possibility awaits. How much possibility depends on which door you open first. Every day, we help our customers discover the possibilities in their lives. It all starts with a conversation. Scotiabank. Discover what's possible.
GEBE has been faithfully serving the communities of St. Martin, powering your home and our economy. Come rain or shine, our qualified team of professionals are working hard 24 hours a day to provide you and your family with safe, reliable electricity and water. We use the latest technologies and test our products daily to maintain the highest international standards. Our friendly staff is always there to assist you, whether in person, over the phone, or online. We are committed to constantly improving our products and services, making them more efficient, effective, and environmentally friendly to serve you better today and our next generation of clients tomorrow. GEBE, powering a brighter future.
Our friend Megawati is here with tips to save you energy. 1. Turn your airco temperature up. 2. Use a ceiling fan instead. 3. Buy energy-saving products. Save some green with NV.
national laws to look for compliance with the CRS. Minister, you know, we talk about the CRS and as if it is something long ongoing, and, you know, St. Martin basically need to catch up as quick as possible with the compliance. But it was only in January 2016 that the EU actually adopted those standards, and they did so after suggesting a change to the standards. So they fought for an amendment on the part of the Administrative Corporation regarding taxation, by the way. And since then, you have the countries that have joined. For example, in June of 2017, you had a group of countries joining the reporting of it, amongst which Anguilla and Curacao. And I say this to ask the question, in that same line-up, it is stated that those countries that started to report in 2018 include St. Martin. Has St. Martin been reporting? If not, how come we appear in that listing of countries that started to report in 2018? On the basis of what? If we were reporting on the basis of what? Minister, some time ago, I forwarded you an article, an opinion, if you wish, by some tax legal minds regarding a shift in the way taxation is being penalized or sanctioned. Have you had a chance to have your people look at this matter? If you did, what are their findings? And more importantly, what is, given some of the conclusions in that particular brief, that legal brief, what do you think that as a country, a ministry, you can do to turn the tide? Because I want to believe that many of the concerns that I hear expressed by members of parliament have to do exactly with that shift. And it is something ongoing, seemingly, taking place in the judicial chain, but again, it only supports the concerns that we're hearing here and have heard in other areas as well. So, Minister, that very specific legal brief regarding penalties and sanctions in the area of taxes and how they are addressed, and if you would need me to share that with you again, I can, but I really would like your opinion and that of your tax experts on that matter, and not only their opinion, but how can we address that and turn the tide. More and more, we are butting up against rather, matters that we take over, and that institutions on St. Martin, different institutions, take over from other countries, expecting us to comply and not looking at the history behind why in the other countries it is being done the way it is being done. And then we are faced with it. So, Minister, I really would like you to look into that piece. In fact, I sent it to you, and I will share it with all members of parliament so that they too can give their opinion and get an idea as to how things are changing around us, and hardly with our knowledge as far as our daily life is concerned. But, Minister, very important is the matter for me of the report, the mentioning of St. Martin in starting to report in 2018. That's all, Minister. Those two matters, but if they can be addressed, thank you.
Just one thing, MP Richardson was referring to me or the government as the legislators. We, yes, have a legislative function as well, but the main legislators is the House of Parliament. So by all means, it is also up to the parliamentarians to come forward with, any legislation to that effect. But his remarks, through you, Mr. Chairman, and remarks of Mr. Richardson are well taken. Then MP Artwell Arion. MP Arion is asking if any one of the considerations or thoughts or suggestions that were made in the CC meetings preceding this public meeting, if they were included in the legislation that is in front of the House of Parliament. Mr. Chairman, I have to inform the MP that the legislation that lies in front of the House of Parliament is an amendment, is an adoption of the rules that were decided upon by the G20. So virtually there is no input from the side of the countries that have underwritten that agreement. So yes, but that by itself kind of also binds into the sentiments that were voiced by your colleague, MP Franklin Myers. And to go over to Mr. Myers. Mr. Myers, to you, Mr. Chairman, MP Myers, I hear clearly what and I share some of those thoughts, but I would like to put a general question back to the House of Parliament, Mr. Chairman, if you would allow me. Yes, even countries like the United Kingdom, when they had to do their reporting, they had big issues with the stringent terms of the agreement that was made by the G20, and they are part of the G20. But nevertheless, they went along and did their reporting. But you know, at the other side, and I hear clearly the targeting of the people of St. Martin. Firstly, you know, what this system is about is to make sure that whatever a person files in the tax form, that it is correct. So if this person would have something outside of the country, there are many persons who have accounts outside of the country and they report it in their income or in their profit tax forms. That is basically what this agreement is about. And yes, of course, if you do not do that, then you are acting against the law. And if it's outside or inside our territories, it's still against the law. Then the remark of how the law then is being applied, that is the discussion that we are having. And I must honestly say, and this is my personal opinion and not directly the opinion of this government, I feel the hurting of certain sections in our society, and I feel the hurting of the way certain laws have been applied, and in following that, the prosecution thereof. I can imagine that sentiment is really at the forefront right now in our society in general. But on the other hand, Mr. Chairman, where agreements like this would protect us, let's say the coffers of our country, that we get what we are supposed to get from the taxpayer, it is also there to protect the country. Because the laws also aim at money laundering, drug money, you know, terrorism combating, and you name it, human trafficking, all those things. So there is some form of reciprocity in the protection through laws like this. And I would like to put emphasis on that we really take that into consideration also. Because it's not only about we complying, but it's also you're supposed to get something back for that as well. So, and then to the two questions of MP Westcott Williams. Through you, Mr. Chairman, MP Williams, yes, thank you very much for that article. And in all honesty, I didn't do much. I took it as information, but I didn't pass it on to my Fiscal Affairs Department. But I will do so, and we will report back to you and the House of Parliament on the findings. And see. And then, yes, on the reporting in 2018 of St. Martin reporting, that is incorrect. The only thing I can think of right now is that they were anticipating our being ready in 2018, and from that point on, we are not ready. We do not have the legislation, so we cannot and we are not allowed to report anything or anybody to whoever is asking for that information.
Hey ma, how you doing? You busy?
I hear, just paying some bills, taking care of business, you know what it is?
I know, you're doing your online banking.
I don't have to stand in those long lines to pay bills. I can transfer when I want. I can check my account wherever. It's like the bank open 24/7. I even here checking the statement right now as we're talking. How's Miami?
Well, that's why I'm calling. I'm finishing up a few songs now, but I'm afraid that studio time might be more than I thought. And I was wondering if I could get some help with some funds, and I could pay you back as soon as I get back to St. Martin.
Let me check my account. How much you need?
I think 500 should be enough.
I can transfer it to you while online. Direct from me to you. No problem.
Great. Thank you so much, Ma. I'll get online with Bib now.
Alright, darling. You know who you're for?
I need to know who you're for.
Contact WIB today for your complete personal online banking experience. Available for all mobile devices, the Windward Islands Bank, now your online banking partner in progress.
Who you for?
In the news this week were the following construction projects. In the Parliament meeting on the new hospital construction of the St. Martin Medical Center, questions about the total bed count, which will increase from 76 to 101 inpatient beds, for a 135 guilder loan to be paid back in 20 years at 6% interest, and a grant of $25 million to build back better and stronger from the Dutch Trust Fund managed by the World Bank. The issues with the Italian contractor Inso and the financial situation of the parent company Gondote were also questioned in Parliament. And the issues with the financiers of the new hospital project, still doing their due diligence. Then the second project announced this week was the multifunctional shelter project, a project plan of the Ministry of ESA. A 1,000-person capacity shelter for a hurricane shelter situation, and which can also be used as multi-purpose facility for sports, cultural events, as well as meetings and as convention facility. And then the third project, the new hotel construction at Great Bay of the Sunwing Group, a 450-room resort from the Planet Hollywood Resort and Casino. Let us address the new hospital building financing. That we can use a new hospital and a new hospital building facility, everybody can agree. With such a plan, no problem. That we want to stick to a contractor that won a bid is understandable. But that there are concerns if the contractor guarantee to build and maintain the contract conditions, that is still to be seen. So that this is the concern of all financiers approach for the construction of the project is understandable and laudable. A grant or a soft loan to finance the new hospital project can be jeopardized if this guarantee will not be provided. But what about providing us now to save the 6% interest rate on the financial proposal that is now on the table with the financiers on the 135 million guilder loan? If we can get a loan for less interest to pay, won't that curb the healthcare costs? So, this was also recognized in the meeting that we had with the ministers of TIAT and PSR last week.